The Union of the Liberian Associations in the Americas, commonly known as ULA, mission is to advance the just causes of Liberians and Liberian at home and abroad. Considering the mission of ULA, why not form a youth chapter of the organization? Why is it the independent establishment of NLYA is crucial, Mr. Jallayu?
Yeah, I was just about to say I'll take that one. Great respect, great respect to our parents, great respect to our grandparents, our elders. We understand that they left a country that was, decimated. They left the country some 30, 40 years ago. When they came here, it was more about taking care of the Liberians here in America, taking care, making sure that they're okay. But as time went on, I don't think it will surprise anybody that when you go on Google or you read an article, you hear these information about financial mismanagement. You hear these information about bickering, people going back and forth. For me, and this is why it's so important that we're establishing that NLYA. For me, it's about actually bringing meaningful changes at the social level, at the policy level. I keep telling the team, I say, look, I want us to be in the halls of the Liberian government. I want us to be in the executive branch. I want us to be in the Minister of the Foreign Affairs. I want us to be in every office in Liberia advocating for issues that are important for Liberians.
So I'm going to put your preamble from your constitution here because I think it's something very important. The preamble says, "We, the sons and daughters of the Republic of Liberia, ever deeply committed to bringing about positive change for our people and motherland, and recognizing the sacrifices but yet shortcomings of our elders in the same, hereby establish the National Liberian Youth Association to usher in a new era of leadership from our young people for the common good of all of us." What a powerful statement. Speaks exactly to what you were saying, that we're recognizing our elders have done good, but
Hmm.
it's about time that we step in as young people
Yep.
to do what we need to do for us as young people and as a country as a whole. So, what emotions does that evoke hearing that preamble?
Yeah, my whole body is like shaking right now because I think I wrote that article at least 3, 4 times. I wanted to pay homage to our parents. I wanted to pay homage to our grandparents. But I also, it needs to be called out. It, there has been shortcomings. Like I said, in this day and age, you're telling me that our people, again, it's not just a EULA, in this association responsibility to like change Liberia. But it doesn't make sense to me that we have sent billions back home. It doesn't make sense that to me that we go to a convention and we raise all this money. You don't know where it goes. It doesn't make sense to me that we don't have a youth mentorship program. That's one of the things that we're going to establish. I want to make sure that the older people within the association, 20-year-old, 25-year-old, I want them to mentor the 13-year-old, the 14-year-old, the 15-year-old. Make sure that they're getting through high school, making sure that they're going to college. I'm sure you know this, Prince. You're part of the association. There have been people that are joining that have their own businesses, that have their own associations. These are the people we want to bring together. We want to bring them at seminars. We want to bring them at talk to say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Oh, hey, I'm doing this. Let's come together. How can we facilitate these conversations so we can make better Liberia?
How about you, Mr. Kamara? What emotions do you feel when you hear that being read out loud?
Well, I feel like we have long, you know, been overlooked and we have long been underestimated as young people, considering the fact that we come from a country and a culture where the elderlies are not judged even of the younger ones, and the elderlies are always given preference, and whatever they say and whatever they do is always considered supreme. But being supreme doesn't mean it's right at all time, right? So we want to change that narratives, right? But while in the mix of changing the narrative, we want to be cognizant of the sacrifices and many contributions they've been making in society. So we want to recognize that, keep them in the system. Hey, even though we're coming up to work, we're not doing away with y'all. We're still going to work with y'all. We're acknowledging the fact that we are your children, but we want you to acknowledge that we are taking this on a different trajectory.
I understand. And Mike, you did mention it correctly. I am also a member of the institution as well. And one thing I like that drives me as well is the fact that you guys keep recognizing the work that has been done. Though it might not be sufficient, it's something that we need to recognize and be appreciative of, but also understand the work that needs to be done and take that stance. Operating an institution with a vision, as you guys, institutionalized organization in multiple countries and regions can be quite challenging. especially when you think about the bureaucratic approaches and constraints that could be placed on the organization. So how would the current structure of having a House of Delegates, the Board of Directors, executive leadership, aid the organization to effectively accomplish its mission, considering that those same processes could in turn hurt it because of bureaucracy? Mr. Jallayu, this is for you.
Yeah, that's a great question. And nothing is perfect. Every institution has its internal struggles. But we do want this to be a democracy. We do want this to be an organization that there are many voices at the table. You know what I'm saying? We need female voice. We need the male voice. We need the Grand Jita, the Maserati, the Grand Kid Mount. We need all those voices at the table. So what I would say is that the national team, the national executive team, is the one running the organization. The board of director is set up such that it's a small strategic body of 5 people. The delegates, they meet just once a year, to approve amendments, to approve changes to the constitution. So at the most, it's set up that it's not supposed to be an overlap. It's not supposed to be, head like fighting each other. But we do recognize that we're trying to be ambitious. We're trying to go worldwide. Listen, I want to touch every Liberian in any corners of the world. If you're in Australia, I want to know that you're in Australia. If you're in the UK, if you're in the Middle East or somewhere in Asia, I want to know you're there. I want to know you're okay. So we're going to set up the operations such that we can touch every Liberian in every corner of the world. But I've been fortunate to be in leadership role. I've been fortunate to work with associations. I know how they're structured. I know challenges are going to come. I know we're gonna have battles later on. But I think as long as we remain committed to the vision, as long as we understand that it's not about Mark, it's not about Prince, it's not about Mel. I think that's when we realize that we got to put aside these differences and build the country. But I'll wrap by saying that we recognize that things are going to happen, but the Constitution is set up that it's supposed to prevent those things from happening.
So the next thing I want to talk about, and this question is for you specifically, Mr. Kamara. So for the re-election of the vice president, there's a $500 non-refundable fee that you will have to pay. So I know you are a working man, so that might not be a problem for you at the moment. But 2 years from now, when you have to get re-elected, or other people are trying to get elected into that position, how much of a challenge do you think that is, and why did the institution put that into place?
Well, I think the money is not to generate the money. Somebody say, okay, they just put the price tag, right, to generate the money. But I would say, quite honestly, generating the money is not the goal. But examining the personality is the goal. The person who's going to pay the money. Because I know anybody can just come and say they want to pay 500, but it takes different character to say this is what I'm going to invest in. Is it significant for me? Is it a goal I can achieve? How can I work? Mind you, that even though you are elected to the position, you can still be taken out of the position. Depends on the dedication. So whether you pay 500 or not. So it's a conscious that even though you're paying 500, it's not a free ride for you, right? So it only takes people with personality to say, because you know that when you pay 500 with a goal that you will just go manipulate the system, take it your own way, it won't work. You know that it won't work. So why would you want to invest in something that you know at the end of the day won't work? So it takes a personality. We examine the personality. So taking up the 500 is a commitment. It's a complete difference of how many people in the organization and how many people want to step up their game to lead.
So, Mr. Jallayu, you're currently the president, and the term of election is for the seat is 2 years, but you can be re-elected for another 2 years for a total of 4 years. Now, assuming you are re-elected, which I can only imagine that's best case scenario for the institution that is so young. So, assuming that you are re-elected, do you think 4 years is enough time to lay the foundation for this organization before moving on to what's best for you or next?
Yeah. I should say I never intended to take on the presidency. I think when I called the first few people, David, Alfonso, Mel, I was like, guys, we've been talking about this. We we just helped a lady get elected to the GGAA presidency, but we wanted to establish a body. So the idea was, I'm gonna put my energy, my effort, my resources behind it, but I never intended to like be president of it. But it was actually David, my chief of staff, who was calling me, texting me, so dude, if we're gonna establish this, you have to lead us through this phase, just because we're still young. But to answer your question, 4 years is enough. 4 years is enough. The first 2 year, like I want to move at speed. I want to go fast. But what Daniel was telling me, Daniel, the country director, he made me realize that sometimes to go fast, you got to go slow. I think that's an African proverb. So as fast as we want to go, we also got to be diligent. We got to make sure that we're going at the right speed. But 4 years, we're going to get to a place 4 years from now on where we are the association that we need to be. And I can just give you like a broad overview quickly. In 4 year, we're gonna have an office. I'm gonna tell you that right now. We're gonna have a small, like we have a office right now that I can go into, but it's like it's not like our own personal office. We needed to establish the association, but we're gonna have an office where we can have staff in there. We're gonna be at a place where we have like actual staff who are running the association every day. While there's a reoccurring election for president. We're going to have an office in Liberia. We're going to have operations there. We're going to have, yeah, I don't, I keep doing the math, but if we get so and so many members and we charge so and so dues, we're going to have some money in the account that we don't have to wait for convention to raise it, that we don't have to beg people to get that money. But all in all, yeah, 4 years, 4 years enough. 4 years enough. And if I can do it in 2 years, I'll give up my position and let the next person take it.
Awesome, good answer. I mean, if the electoral term of the president of the United States can be 4 years, I can imagine that you can do a lot in 4 years as well. So
But you got to get reelected for the
I,
you count as 4 years. So that's the thing.
I
Yeah,
do I do agree. A lot can be done within 4 years with the right mind and the right people on the team. So
yeah.
absolutely.